Incredible! This is
The Grove Podcast.
Hello, my name is Tabs and welcome to episode 141 of the Growth Podcast. Thank you for listening. Now, I hope you're doing very, very well and are content in the fact that whilst rivals were having ding-dong battles, letting in goals galore, dropping points, or just not being quite as good as they thought they were, yes, you Chelsea, that Arsenal managed a relatively straightforward, no drama, tongue-in-cheek, 2-0 win against Brentford. So, I guess keeping clean sheets and consistency is not for everyone. But there we go. We will discuss that later. And joining me today to look back at that win against Brentford is Kuziva. How are you doing? How's your evening been?
It's been good. I was at a networking event, but I had to cut it short because I had to speak on the Grove. Good feedback.
Good. Yeah, your priorities are right there. Unfortunately, we won't be able to pay you as much as those people will, but you'll get much more enjoyment out of this. So thank you for being here. Okay, so as I said, in today's show, we'll look back at yesterday's somewhat nervy, but ultimately successful win over Brentford on Wednesday evening. We'll have some more of our listener follower 3-word reviews, and then we'll finish with a preview of our trip to Villa Park, where we get to meet up with our old friend Unai for what will be, I reckon, a pretty tricky fixture. And I've got some pretty interesting stats about Villa and their underlying metrics, all very Unai. So stay tuned in for those. But before we get on with that, as always, if you can leave us a nice little rating, comment. We've had a couple of this week. If you can subscribe, follow on all the usual podcast apps and the socials, that'll be greatly appreciated. Okay, thank you very much. Anyway, enough of that. Arsenal 2, Brentford 0. Merino in 11 minutes, Saka on 90 plus 1. So, Kuziva, what was your highlight and low light from last night's game?
My highlights was the Merino goal, getting Ben White with a lovely assist, but specifically the build-up. It was a 14-pass move, I think, with about 11 outfield players. So just seeing everyone synchronizing, it was like an orchestra. It was just great to watch. That was definitely the highlights. And then the low light, I would say, is the drop in technical security. The number of corners we received during that game was wild. So I could say too, like the second half drop, and then just the number of corners, man, that shit was scary. But we did a good job. Clean sheet, I'll take it.
We did, yes. They were a bit anxiety-inducing, those corners. And yeah, you're right. The Merino goal, 14 passes, all 10 outfield players involved, and then Mr. Overlap himself, and I'm not talking about Neville and Carragher and Scholes and all those idiots. Ben White there to cross him for Merino. Yes, that was a lovely worked goal, and some. I think I even watched the commentary today. Some filthy technique from from Madueke to release Ben White. So yeah, that was a lovely goal. My highlight was the second goal. Now, not for the goal itself, but for the fact that it killed the game and it was just relief. There was like a huge, I don't know how far across North London, it's like, and relax. It went across North London. It was just one of those games yesterday that, even though Brentford statistically offered very little, and in fact in the second half they didn't have a shot on target, you just felt that 1-0 and that all the set pieces they had, like the corners or especially their throw-ins, that something was going to give, that the law of averages was going to strike. So, the highlight being that we held out from all of that and we went on to win, and the relief, of that second goal was the highlight, and the collective all sitting down and just like, thank God for that. So that was it. That was the highlight for me. The low light, I think there's a couple to pick out from, and we'll get on to, like, the Mosquera injury, of course. Related to my highlight was not getting the second goal earlier to kill the game, so we could make different subs, like resting Rice and bringing on maybe other players rather than the ones we did, and also so we could relax earlier. And then actually my biggest low light was just all those throw-ins, and it's a bit of a contrasting one. I mean, they are anxiety-inducing. I said we're 1-0 up, anything can happen. The last one in the 88th minute was, I think, the closest they get. But actually, even though they do cause a lot of damage from those throw-ins and chances are created, they've actually not scored many goals from their set pieces. I said in the previous pod, they've scored 6 goals from set pieces, 3 are penalties. So actually, the outcome of all the throws. And I heard a stat, was it before yesterday, Coyote took like 154 throw-ins, but they've only maybe scored 1 or 2 goals from them. So the return on that investment is not particularly great. But when you're there in the moment, when we've experienced Arsenal being footballed and all the rest of it year in like the last couple of years, you just can't help but think, oh God. And everyone was getting really annoyed every time every time a throw-in was being given out. So yeah, but anyway, so pleased that low light didn't turn into an even bigger low light. So there we go. So okay, onto the lineup. So there were a couple of changes. I think we were expecting it. Brentford midweek after the sort of Tottenham, Bayern, Chelsea triumvirate of games. So Ben White back in the team, giving Timber a well-earned 40-minute rest.
Yeah.
Odegaard was back in the starting lineup. Madueke started. Mosquera and Hincapié at centre backs, and then Saka and Eze on the bench. So how did you feel about that team and the breaking news? Even though by the time you listen to this, you'll know what happened. West Ham have just equalised in the 82nd minute against Man United. So that's very funny. Yeah. Anyway, on that team, were you pleased with the changes? Was it what you expected? Yeah.
Yeah,
How
it
did
was
you
what I
feel about that lineup? Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I did call it in the last part I was on,
Mm,
how I
mm,
think Saka is going to get rested, and he did.
yeah.
That's the advantage of having a big squad. You can do that. We're talking about obviously Timber resting, but I also think, seeing from yesterday, the fact that we've now lost another defender, it was also about White's being reintegrated into the team, which is good to see. Um, his volume of passing is really important when you're playing a low block like Brentford. Timber gives you security, but White gives you those combinations that can help unlock the half spaces. So I wasn't surprised by the rotation, but yeah, good to see White back and doing what he's good at.
Yeah, I mean, he said, look, it was nice. He's always very understated.
Yeah,
Obviously, I've not played too many games this season. The boys have been unbelievable. It's just about supporting everyone, sticking together, and when you do get the chance, perform as high as you can. Training every day with these players is unbelievable. There's players that don't get any minutes that would probably start in any other team. It's a pleasure every day. You just have to take it game by game. And yeah, I think everyone loved to see him back. I mean, we'll remember him from like 2 seasons, 3 seasons ago, what he was doing, what he was offering. Yeah, he put his body on the line for us, and that's partly why he hasn't been playing so much recently, is because he ruined himself for us that a couple of seasons. And that, I think that's halted his comeback, alongside the fact that Timber is just bloody good and one of the best right backs in the world. So yeah, so good to see him back. I think he's played a few games this season. He's just looked a bit off it, but like, I think last night, particularly the first half, second half, I think he dropped off. But first half, yeah, he was like, yeah, his overlapping best, as he combined really well with Madueke, I thought, and yeah, set up the goal. Um, and then obviously Odegaard being back, I think it's good to see him back in the starting lineup. Give Eze a bit of a break. I mean, Eze's not used to playing 3 games a week. With Palace, he didn't have to do that, so he's getting up to speed. And yeah, so yeah, I was quite pleased with it. I think we needed to make those changes, and yeah, we had to do it. Had to do it for yesterday. If you don't do it for a game like Brentford at home, when are you going to do it? So, in terms of the actual game itself, statistically, again, I guess, and what I'm going to be interested in finding out how it felt for you watching on TV versus being in the stadium. But statistically, yeah, we had 62% possession to their 38. We had 1.7 xG to their 0.35. 15 shots to their 6, 7 shots on target to their 1. We had 4 big chances to their 1. We missed 3 big chances. So, it looks like a lot of domination, even though it felt very, very nervy. So I think it was a big result. But yeah, what were your overall thoughts about the game, the result? How did it feel watching at home? Because yeah, I was quite nervy. Maybe I'm being a nervy person. So yeah, how did it feel watching you? How did you feel about the game?
it was nervy at home, dude. Like,
Okay, okay, good. I'm glad I
it was
wasn't the only
nervy
one.
at
I'm glad I wasn't the only one.
I mentioned how it felt like there was a technical drop in the second half. There's a stat around the passing accuracy dropped from 86% to 83%, and 3% sounds like a small amount, but in a system like ours, that's the difference between killing a game and inviting chaos. And that's why a lot of those throw-ins felt so scary. Like nothing happens with those throw-ins, but it just feels scary because we just don't have that control. So it definitely was nervy at home. But in the same vein, like Brentford had 0 shots in the second half.
Yeah.
So it felt like we suffered a lot without the ball, but we didn't break, which
Yeah.
is something that I'll always go home sleeping happy and well.
Yeah, again, a lot of it was that perception. So that you're right, they didn't really threaten us, and so I think it's going to be like this for the rest of the season, especially when you're only one nil up. Again, we've experienced in the past. Shit happens. We've been footballed. You know, somehow a goal goes in or a set piece and stuff like that. So it's just that I think the second goal was it would have been. I said it would have been nice to get it earlier. So I was actually quite nervy before the game. I had a bad feeling, but then after a couple of Guinness and then seeing their lineup, I felt better. I mean, we had made changes, but also Brentford made some big changes themselves. They were missing the spine of their team. I went up with a friend of mine who's a Brentford supporter, and Brentford are sort of a bit of a second club for me, and I sort
We
of
know.
follow them. But they were missing Collins, Henderson, Damsgaard, and Thiago, which are the spine of their team. And I'm hoping that Arsenal are going to start getting treated like Man City were 2-3 years ago, where teams would go, actually, the more important games at the weekend. So Brentford plays Spurs. Of the two games, which one's more likely to get a result? Which one do they need their
Yeah,
players with?
yeah.
Henderson can't play 3 games in a week. Thiago sort of went off injured, so maybe he's prioritising Spurs at the weekend, which is great for us. Because all of a sudden, if we have that aura about us, it's good. But um, and so you're saying about the second half, and I agree with you. We didn't have control. What about the first half? How did you feel about that? How we played, and anything particularly you liked about it?
I mean, the best thing is the fact that we scored as early as we did. I don't know when last we scored that early, so I'm glad because we knew it was going to be a tough outing. We knew it was going to be a low block with 5 at the back, but that was a good way to start. I was happy with some of the work that we're doing, but then it did start, I guess, dropping a little bit as we're moving from the 38th minute to halftime. So yeah, first half was better than what I'm used to in terms of we scoring early
Yeah.
and we absolutely dominating. How about you in the stadium?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think for me it felt like we made a bright start. I think it was good in parts. We were probing, we were dominant. Madueke looked dangerous. He was really like, I feel for him a bit of a way because I think he gets into really good positions, and just that final thing doesn't fall his way. I think he came close. There was that one Rice cross across the pitch where shot was going on target, but Henry did really, really well to block it. He had a few dribbles that went really well. So I think he creates danger. So he's like maybe the Mr. Pre-assist or creates danger, and people stand off him. So I think he did a good job instead of Saka yesterday. Sort of quite direct. His footwork was pretty cool. There was like that again, another moment where he was sort of jinking in and out and to have a shot. Ben White looked great, overlapping and sort of being offensive, and I thought Hincapie and Mascara dealt quite well with the long balls and their two forwards because Brentford did a 5-3-2 and they left the two up front, Sade and Altara, and I think they did well. Battling with the duels with the headers, and I would suggest that given the changes that we made, and given the state of some of the players returning to fitness, coming back, playing their first full game, there is going to be a bit of rustiness. There is the relationships quite aren't there. So I think it's as best as we could expect, given those changes. Would it be nice to see a bit more pace and ball progression? Because I think we missed that. A bit of pace could have did for Brentford. But I guess we took the early lead and we just played a bit safe in places and maybe didn't quite go for the kill as much as we'd hoped. But I think it's as good as we can expect given the team. But I think you're right. The second half, I really felt it. We just had no control of that game, not until like the last 15-20 minutes, maybe when we made subs and Brentford went for it a bit more. but yeah, that was really telling. We just couldn't get our foot in the ball. We didn't. We weren't pushing. It wasn't any of that whole sure death stuff. So yeah, it's funny, we complain about it when we see it, but when we don't see it, it's like, oh, we're not in control. So we didn't push them. But I do want to give Brentford some kudos because
You would, Mr.
uh,
Brentford.
I mean, no, but no, the reason, and
Right.
this is also a slight on maybe like Tottenham and Chelsea. Yeah, Brentford played actually quite well, and they came to the Emirates. They played five at the back, but
Yeah.
they had energy. They pressed us well in the right places. Their set pieces were, blood pressure rising. They just wouldn't stop running. The second half, like, oh, can you just leave us? Like, can you stop running? They were just running. Can you not just let us win this? This game's not important to you. This doesn't matter. This is a free. Let us win the game. You don't need this. Yeah, yeah. And they were being brave. And, pardon the pun, they were like a pesky bee, and it just would not go away. And it's so far removed to what we saw when Spurs came to the Emirates with five at the back. Last night's game was so much harder than the North
Yeah.
London derby. And they didn't try and kick us off the park, and they didn't try and waste time. So I'm giving them kudos, not because I have an affinity with them, an affiliation, but just because I think they came and they just didn't sit back. They tried to give it a go. They had a certain game plan. They played to the maximum of their ability, but it was refreshing that they tried to do it. And they said, you look at what Frank did with Tottenham. They came back and they played with a load of fear. I don't think these guys did. I think they knew who they were, and they played to that. I don't know if you felt similarly in terms of in terms of how you saw Brentford's approach to playing us.
No, no, absolutely. I am in alignment with that. Yeah, they did better than Tottenham. Tottenham
Yeah.
is supposed to be a big club. Are they really? They finished 17th last year. I don't know, but yeah, they really did the most, especially after changing up their team the way they did.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So, no, I agree. And I'm just taking the piss, and I'll continue doing so because you are at home. But no, it was the fact that we all just breathed this sigh of relief, in the 91st minute,
Yeah.
showed that these guys really they came to play,
Yeah.
and they wanted to get something out of that game, the whole game. So
Yeah.
kudos to them for real.
Yeah, and they could have done. I mean, as I said, they could have done if something well fell their way, but they also didn't create much. So I think. Look, I think it was a deserved win, and it was a case of just get the job done, get out of there with no injuries. Laugh. This is Arsenal, and we move on. And we did that. Oh, sorry, Fernandez almost scored, but he didn't. Okay, so yes, I mean, there was I said the first half was I think there was a few chances, but it obviously started in the 11th minute. That was the main one with the Merino goal, and we've talked about that. But I want to ask you about then Merino as our centre forward. Would you say he's the best centre forward in our club at the moment? Is he the number one pick? If we had the game for our lives tomorrow, who you're starting up front? Assuming everyone's fit. So even if everyone's fit, oh, you're on mute. You're on mute. Right, he's no longer on mute. He just spent a nice 10-minute soliloquy on how beautiful Merino is, and he's going to have to repeat that. No, so game for your life. Who's our starting centre forward?
Yeah, so I was saying Gyökeres, Merino. Right now, it's Merino. I know Gyökeres scored 60 goals last season, but Merino knows the system. He knows Arteta. He knows what Arteta wants from him. He's got great movement. He's got that Spanish flair, and he's got a great hit on him. He scored 8 headed goals
Mm.
so far, which I think is more than anyone in the Premier League this year in 2025.
Since the start of last season,
Yeah,
he scored 8 goals, which is no player has scored more than that. Yeah, and that's 8 out of his 14 so
yeah.
far this year.
So it's
In
it's
the
good
Prem.
to know that we have a player like that when the likes of Gyökeres and Kai Havertz are out.
Mm.
It always makes me laugh. I mean, I know that he played in the midfield when he played Liverpool, but people were like, also so defensive. I was like,
Yeah,
you guys know that this guy is currently like Spain and Arsenal's top goal scorer this year. Do you understand that?
yeah.
But yeah, it's probably a contentious opinion, but it is
No,
what it
no, no. I think he's great. I think he's a very intelligent very intelligent player. He sort of can be what we need him to be. And I think the way we have the teams that he actually facilitates others get into the centre forward
Yeah.
position. But you see that goal yesterday. That was a centre forward's run across Pinnock to get to the ball first, and a lovely header. He's really evolved. And a lot of that will be down to Arteta and his training, but also the hard work he puts into developing. He had a goal and assist yesterday. He's had 3 goals and 3 assists in the Prem this league already. He's scored against Prague a couple. Yeah, and then also he can look. He also offers the option that he can slot into midfield, so we can then bring someone else on to go up front. So he just provides. He's got durability about him. So cue him being injured in the next 5 minutes. And he's a very selfless player. So I think he's great. I love what he offers. People were struggling to see what he is as a midfielder, and I get that. But now, actually, I think I prefer him as a centre forward than a midfielder. It's a funny way. I don't trust him I don't trust him as much in midfield as if he was to come in and replace Rice as a centre forward who drops into midfield. And I think we were thinking at the beginning of the season, why I was particularly is how is he actually going to get into the team? Given all the signings we made and the various positions, I didn't even think he would get many minutes, and he's up there with I think he's played 13 Premier League games, started 7. Yeah, and one of the first names on the team sheet at the moment. And you will come to Villa Park, but who are you playing up front? So it's a nice problem to have, and one that we've needed, because without him, we'd be a bit like last season, we'd be screwed. So absolutely screwed. After the goal, Madueke had his sort of quick feet moment, and he had a shot saved by Keller about the 17th. White had a shot where he hit the side netting. I think he could have got a cross goal, but in the 18th. And then actually one of the biggest moments, maybe I wouldn't say sliding doors because there was still plenty of time, but then there was the Sade header that Raya made an unbelievable save.
Yeah. What do you say about the best goalkeeper in the Premier League? And I think it was 4 pods back when I was talking about him being top 3, but he's there. He's up there. He could be number 1 right now. It's crazy that with all that he's doing, he's still not Spain's number 1. But I understand, and your people, but
Yeah.
he is part of the reason why we don't concede. We don't have our starting centre backs,
Mm.
but it's fine because Raya will come and do something like that. Arguably, it came to him, but he still had the reflexes to say, "Wait, I'm Raya, so I'm going to save this." Um, yeah, shat my pants. Obviously, I don't know which
Yeah,
side he's sitting,
yeah,
but when he says goals like or chances like that, you're like, okay.
yeah. I would look. It's going in. So it was an incredible reflex save. And I think and it's amazing the thing that the top goalkeepers have, and especially someone like Raya. When he had Saliba and Gabriel in front of him, is like they absolutely do nothing for ages, and then they have to then pull out one save that will make the difference in one game. That's their one job, is to make that one save. Okay, I'm making it smaller than it is. Okay, they do a lot more else, and he's particularly involved in our distribution. He's like the 11th outfield player, but the moment when you need him to make that one save, it's incredible that they're there to do it. So to be able to stay on top of your skill and to stay sharp to do that save for that one moment, and it makes the difference, because it stopped us from going 1-1. Again, a tricky game, the way the game was trending in terms of how our players were feeling. That it was really important. So then a bit after that, Martinelli had a chance on 28. I think he could have just got his head over the ball a bit more and got it on target at least. Did you feel he was a bit off last night, Martinelli? I wasn't. I hate being down on any of our players, but don't know, just didn't seem right last night.
I I think that Brentford did a good job to nullify him more than the fact that he was off. He's played a few games, and we know what he's been doing in the Champions League.
Yeah,
But I think Brentford, they know the danger that is Martinelli, and yeah, they were all over him.
Mm.
So I mean, I wasn't surprised when he was taken off. It's great that you can replace Martinelli, and I forgot who else was replaced with Saka
Uh,
and Eze.
uh,
But
yeah, well, both are wingers. So Madueke and
oh
Martinelli
yes,
came off, and Eze and Saka came on.
but yeah, I think Brentford also did a good job nullifying him.
Yeah, yeah, there wasn't much space. Five at the back, not much space. He was trying to come in field a bit more, which doing a bit of what Trossard does, and I think when he comes out from out to in, it's when he's doing those runs in behind, like he scored those goals, like he did against Bayern Munich, like he did against Man City. He doesn't mind coming centrally from that, but being centrally in a crowded area, I don't think that's his bag. In Europe, when there's a bit more space, I think that's where, and space to get him behind, I think that's where he excels. And yeah, I think if we just told him and played the Champions League music in his headphones before every game, he'd be a better player. Um, and but now I feel like in the Premier League I think he's more of an impact player. I think bring on when there's tired legs, when the gaps are there. That's maybe where he'll excel, and that will be his role, especially the way Trossard was playing. Yeah, so there we go. So a couple of other moments, Rice drives into the box and had a shot on 33, and then there was that Rice to Madueke chance that Henry did
So
really well with.
yeah,
Yeah, unlucky there. And then and then on the 43rd moment, so the sort of next big deal was Mosquera went off, Timber came on. Now I don't know. Did you see what happened? Did you see what caused the injury? Did they replay it? Because I've looked. I've tried to look on the videos on YouTube, whatever. I couldn't find anything in terms of how I've heard things, but yeah. Did you see what happened?
no, I didn't see what happened.
Okay.
It was funny because the commentators were like, "Oh yeah, it's just when he landed," and I'm like, "What are you saying? No one sees anything here. He landed normally." So I think it feels like it's a hamstring situation, but I definitely did not see anything in all the replays that I watched
Yeah.
of that.
No,
That's
so I think someone said it was when he took off. So it wasn't when he landed. It was when he took off. But yeah.
it's
So I
possible.
know, but it's like, how's your luck again? Is it the people behind me? Oh fucking hell, Arteta, what are you doing in training? I said, what's that got to do with anything? Yeah, but it's like just like one in, one out, or one out, one out, half someone in, and it's not just him. It's like, right, we want to give Timber a rest, and all of a sudden Timber has to come on. And I don't think it was the toughest game, shall we say, cardio wise. uh, what was interesting, I was half expecting Ben White to go and settle in at
Yeah.
right centre back and
So
Timber to go right back, but maybe it was a case of, well, Ben White's more likely going to play right back, um, and Timber plays centre back for his country, so maybe that's the better deal, and maybe also because he didn't want Timber to do so much running, which he would do with that right back, so maybe that was that. But I was sort of half surprised he didn't go there, but yeah, how's your
yeah.
luck?
So I've been doing some research. I'll share this probably in like I don't know another 4 or 5 games from now. So I've been doing some research on if we can actually win the league. I'm a nerd like that, and I've been trying to break down injury probabilities. And
Okay.
what I've learned is that with the type of play that we play with the way we press when
Mm.
we don't have the ball, it's more physically demanding for defenders, centre backs specifically, because
Okay.
of how I guess how they play and the areas and the sequences that they play around. So the fact that let's see what the actual injury is. I could be
Yeah.
wrong, but we
Yeah.
are more susceptible to hamstring injuries because of that.
Right.
Um, so yeah, it could be how Arteta
Mm.
is training these guys. The guy behind you might be right,
Okay.
but
Damn. That's
yeah,
really annoying.
the luck is yeah. This is why he's been stocking up on centre
Sin-
backs. I remember when
yeah.
I heard that Real Madrid
Mm.
didn't want to buy Konate anymore, and then Liverpool
Mm.
fans talking about, hey, we want to get Gay, we'll definitely get him regardless. I threw a little comment in one of my groups saying, I know we're fine right now because we still have Gabriel, and I was like, let's just buy him anyways because you never know. Let's
Well,
let's try. Let's go to January and see
okay.
if we can add
Well,
him.
we get Gray in. Yeah, we just need another centre back. Go, let's get him in. Why not? Why not? I'm sure he'd rather come to us than I don't know where Liverpool are, 12th place Liverpool or wherever they are.
Is that where they
So
are? Second page.
Yeah, second page. Yeah, second page Liverpool. There we go. So let's see. Let's hope it's not too bad. It's just typical. Let's hope Saliba is days, but then, yeah, days. There's 365 days in a year. So when you say days, how many days is that? But so let's see. So that's the first half. Dominant. I think we played all right, considering, and yeah, but. Then, as we said, it tailed off in the second half. Brentford energy levels were just so much greater than ours. Our players started to flag. I think we found it hard going. The relationships were there, and then all these things factor into a bit of a poor second half that turned into a bit scrappy, a bit sloppy. Didn't lack any real rhythm or flow. And as we said, always a threat at 1-0. So, like, yeah, I said, the first thing, the first major incident of the second half were the subs on the 61st minute. That just goes to show what not a lot was happening. But what I did like, and I don't know if it came across in watching at home, was actually there was a moment around the 63rd minute where the crowd suddenly got really involved in the game and sort
Yeah,
that it felt like, oh, the players need us,
yeah.
and it felt like a real concerted effort to really g up the players, get behind the players. I don't know, did that come across? Because it was, well, obviously in the
It
stadium.
definitely did. It was
Oh
so
wow,
good to see because I'm the guy who, if I'm not at the stadium, I'll go into my groups and I'll be like, "Hey guys, like, come on, shout loud! I know you can't see your phones because you're enthralled in the game." But it was so good to hear that. Yeah, shout out to you guys. Like, you did a good
yeah,
job. You did what Arteta asked.
yeah.
Um, so no, it was definitely noticeable from home.
Yeah, good. No, good. But it was just like, because it can get a bit quiet. We're all sort of like
Mhm.
there, a bit nervy. So yeah, definitely concerted. And actually, very soon after, things started to pick up. It was obviously not the crowd. It was obviously the crowd and not Eze and Saka coming on and Brentford going for it a bit more. It was the crowd that
It was
did
you
it.
guys. Yeah.
It was us guys. Good. We'll take the kudos for that, the credit. So yeah, around 66, I think Calafiori had one of his first shot, and it was one that then he did well to save it, and then Merino sort of half went in, half trying to win a penalty. I think if he'd fully committed to it, I think someone said in the group, if he'd fully committed it, he might have won the penalty, but because he sort of went half-hearted, it was never a penalty, and yeah, you could see that. Yeah, he quickly got up and ran back, and then Rice has had his shot, and again Kelleher made another save. Merino with the follow up just couldn't get his foot round the ball to guide it in. And then the other next deep sigh was Rice going down. So what do you reckon? Was it cramp, calf strain? What was the gist on TV?
Yeah, it looked like half strain. But then I'm not a physio,
Yeah.
I work in marketing. Stuff.
No, but what's your unprofessional opinion of what you
I'm
saw?
familiar. It seemed like a calf strain. I know Arteta said he was walking, but we also saw Timber walking after his injury.
Mm,
But yeah, I
no.
I hope it's nothing worse than a cramp. I feel
Yeah.
like with a cramp, Rice would try work through it, especially with the physios around him. But he has been playing a lot of games. He is our horse. He's all over the
Mm,
pitch. So
mm.
it could have just been a cramp, and they were just taking precautions. But it did feel a bit bleak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's 82nd minute. You'd think, oh, come on, 1-0, we should be all right. Look, I said Arteta said on Rice he could not carry on playing. We have to wait and see tomorrow. What happens? He can walk. Yeah, as you said, Timber can walk after his ACL. I could walk and play football after my ACL, but obviously to a different level. So but he said he was fine. Today. But how fine is question? How are you doing? Fine. Yes, I'm fine. It can be interpreted so many different ways. So yeah, let's see what level of fine he is, and yeah, fingers crossed, because again we can replace him in the aggregate, but yeah, the way he's been our best player for the last 3-4 games, especially last week, for the game against Villa, you don't want to be losing him.
nope.
So let's fingers crossed. It was just a cramp precautionary. So took Rice off, Gyökeres on, Merino went back into midfield. And then yeah, and then we had a couple more chances. Okay, they had that one throw from Brentford about 88 minutes that went past everyone and just missed, I think, the Brentford player. That was sort of like heart in mouth moment, back post. But then, Calafiori had another of his shots, and what a run! Nice jinking. Would have been nice for him to put it wide of the keeper, because I think the goalkeeper's not saving it, but hit it hard. Keeper saved it. Saka was there, and like in the ground, he just put your foot through it. We couldn't work out it, but it felt like he was falling back, and he sort of got on top of the ball with his studs. Couldn't really see what happened, but should he have scored?
Well, Calafiori should have passed to
Oh,
Joker,
okay.
number
Oh,
one.
really? Oh, okay. Well, you can't knock him. He took a great
No,
shot,
he
and it
took a
took a
great
decent
shot.
save.
Um,
He
yeah,
jinked in. So,
but
you know,
yeah, I think
okay,
I maybe because he was falling back, he just wasn't balanced enough. But
yeah,
I am overly critical of our star boy,
yeah,
so I expect him to be at least hitting the target, or like making the goalkeeper work in a situation like that.
yeah.
I'm sure he'll watch that again and say, "Yeah, I probably need to do better." But my
But
first thing is, yeah, pass it to
you
the
should.
striker, and I'll say it again in a few
Okay.
moments.
You
But
should have. I should. Well. Look, 92nd minute, our star boy did make up for that miss with the 100th goal, with Arsenal's 100th goal of 2025. And what I liked about this was there was Merino picking it up in the middle of our half, running forward with the ball, and a lovely pass between the two defenders, and the timing of it to pick up Saka's run. He didn't have to break stride, and again, and it was, I keep forgetting. I think it was with his left foot, so it's even to play the
mm,
straight ball that he did. If you're right-footed, it looks like a more natural pass. To get the angle, and he did, and way past it. So the way he had to open up his body and play with his left foot, and to hit the timing of it, it was a great, what a lovely pass by Merino, and he took it, cut back inside. Saka's there. He's a greedy git. And that's fine. You want them to be
one score,
greedy. You
yeah.
want him to be greedy, and he hit it hard. Keller got a hand to it, but not enough of a hand, and it eventually goes over the line. And we didn't have to wait. Where I'm sitting, I could see it clearly over the line. So yeah, relief. Everyone falling back in their seat, going, "Thank fuck for that." And and 2-0. But do you feel like Saka should have passed to Gyökeres in the middle? Is
Yeah,
that what you're going to imply?
yeah. I need to be consistent. No, look, you are right. Our forwards should be scoring. They should be attacking. It gives them confidence. You know,
Yeah.
Saka, he needs to continue doing what he was doing last season, the season before, and the season before that.
Mm,
So I'm glad that he scored.
mm,
I also do want Gyökeres to score. I think
mm,
what's important, what you see at City a lot of the time is there are chances where the players are in better positions, or
mm,
sorry, where they're in a good position,
mm.
but they'll pass to Haaland because he's in a slightly better position. So
But it's also because it's Haaland.
Moses Haaland, I believe that your Chris is the same. But I think my favorite thing about that goal was the pass, and I'm going back to me
Yeah,
fanboying Merino.
yeah,
I enjoy when a player passes and they lean back. That like
mm,
that, I've passed it, I've let it go, and I'm like I'm me leaning back is letting that ball come to you.
mm.
I love that. Watch it again when you watch
Yeah,
the replay. But
it was
yeah,
a good pass.
great pass, and
Yeah.
we all saw it on
Put it on.
TV.
Put it on a. Can we say you put it on a plate for Saka?
I don't know, man. Have you seen Foden's pass to Eze like 3 weeks ago? I don't know, man. I don't know, but
Oh,
you
that's the
biased.
that's the pinnacle of on a plate passes. Okay. So look, a lot of people are saying this is the sort of game last season or the season before that we might have drawn. But now we're a different proposition, and we go on to win these games. So that's it's good to see. So couple of stats related to that. Raya has now more clean sheets than goals conceded in the Premier League. Um, and 80% of Arsenal's Premier League victories this season, so 8 out of 10, have been to nil. So currently their highest percentage of wins without conceding a single season in competition. So yeah, if you play to nil, the opposition get nil, you've got more chance of winning games. That's what I think. That's a statistic that we don't have to work too hard on. And then I really like this one. It is like, we're performing as expected, because our XG against Bayern was 3.05. We scored 3. Our XG against Chelsea was 0.99. We scored 1. And then our XG against Brentford was 2.02. And this was on the XG philosophy, and we scored 2. So, yeah, we're playing as expected. So long may that continue. So any other players that stood out for you, or shall I just pose the question that Matt Stacey sort of posed in the group chat?
Pose the question.
So, what did you make of Odegaard's performance? Because Matt came out and said, "Is it me or is it Odegaard that's the problem?" No, now Matt, I'm going to tell you one thing that you might not like, but anyway, and this is in the second half. But no. Okay, but yeah, joking aside, what did you make of Odegaard's performance yesterday?
So I didn't feel that way. We've seen him have worse games. I think he played within himself, which is smart. He didn't force any Hollywood passes. There were opportunities for that, and he just kept the rhythm. I think we needed someone to control the game in the moments that were inviting chaos, and he did exactly that. When you are having those Hollywood passes, you're at risk of losing the ball. You know, it's the Alexis Sanchez um, dilemma, right? Where absolutely kills it. He's running through. He does what he needs to do. He scores. But when he doesn't do that, he loses the ball, and it's a counter attack. So I respectfully disagree, Matt.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. I felt he was safe. I think you're right. He was finding his feet, trying to be his old self. But again, he's been out for how much of the season? Majority of the season.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay, when he came back and played against Olympiacos, he did quite well. But I think this Brentford's a different proposition. And this is a different injury that he's returning from. So yeah, look, I'd be nice if he was sharper, was quicker with the pass, and I think that will come. But I think considering where he's been, and he had to play the full 90, which I don't think was expected. So I think kudos to him. He was trying to be himself. He was maybe I don't think he has to come so deep with Zubimendi and Rice that to get the ball. I'd like to see him a bit further forward. But I think like you're saying, he's just trying to get in the rhythm of the game. This is all about getting him up to speed for future games. And he's still a very, very good player. Eze's done well. When he's been playing in that position, but I think that's also with a different formation, different style of playing. But then Eze comes on yesterday, and it was okay. So a bit hit and miss. So yeah, I think he's fine. It's just about finding his feet again. As I said, I think Calafiori, I think, had a really good game. He was a very dangerous player, but a threat, especially second half, 2-3 shots, hitting the target, causing havoc. As you said, no idea what position he plays, but I'd love to see him playing whatever that is. And and I think Hincapié and Mosquera were doing well, as we said. And we said that there's one thing, and we're going back to Ben White here, and maybe it's an unpopular opinion because everyone loves him. I'm just not a fan of his nonchalance. There's sometimes a way I feel sometimes in his passing or in his crossing or in his shooting, I feel like he's a bit casual sometimes. And I know that's not his personality because he lays his body on the line for Arsenal. I think he's as he cares as much as anyone else. But it's just that he sometimes I feel, like his cross from Merino, it was a very nonchalant cross. But that doesn't always work, and it just maybe that's just me. And tell me to shut up. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me Ben White is beautiful and brilliant. I don't know, but there's something about that just bugs me. Bugs me.
Yeah, you are wrong, Tabs. That casual body language is actually his elite efficiency. I mean, you just have to look at the numbers. When you look at his progressive passes, he was only matched by Rice and Odegaard. When you look at his Jules one, no one matched him. No one made more tackles than him. That's him. It's who can I think of? Berbatov. I know he was nonchalant and lazy, but like that's who I think of when I think about Ben. Like if Ben was a
Okay.
striker, you're
Yeah.
like, why is he so chilled? But he's actually cooking everyone. He's doing what he needs to do to get the job done. So yeah, you are wrong, and I think it's the first time we've probably disagreed since I've been speaking on this pod.
Okay, fair enough. It will still irk me a little bit, but then they're fair enough. It's these small things. So anyway, 2-0, we won, job done, and I think we hopefully forget about it and move on. It's one of those ones in the season that you just look back on. Yeah, we got the 3 points, needed that, important. It could have been a trap game, as they call it in the States, one that you're focusing on the next game, and you've had some tough games, and it's one that you sort of take your eye off the ball. So we avoided that, and yeah, so there we go. So look, on to our follower and listener 3-word review. So thank you for people for posting on Blue Sky, X, Threads, TikToks, and the Grove WhatsApp group. Apologies in advance if I mangle your names and handles, and if I've missed any. I didn't see one from you, Kuziva, so I don't know if you've got one, or I can wait till the end, or
I do
anything
have
like
one.
that. Oh, you do.
It's efficiency over aesthetics. That's how I felt.
Very good, very good. Okay, so we have on TikTok Guna TK on to next. Yep. Tommy Gunn 090 grinding out results definitely, and Darren Hodgson 11 good 3 points it was. From X, blink and breathe. Don't play Odegaard. So maybe someone we disagree with there because we've explained that one to you, but fair enough. Everyone's got their opinions.
Was that Matt? I'm playing.
Was that Matt? No, yeah, that's Matt's alter ego. On Threads, Sam 13 draws. Sam 13 dot draws. Ben fucking White. Indeed, indeed. Yeah. I think we all enjoyed that performance. Hath 100 Mark of Champions. Yeah, that we explained. Turkish Sid, calm, controlled, gritty. Yep. Jim Bob Dorset, Chelsea are shit. Yeah, I can't agree more. That's my favourite 3-word review of Arsenal Brentford. Chelsea are shit. Paul Latham Dignity 18. That's not his 3-word review. That's actually his handle. Gunners Bees great. Okay, yeah, very good pun. I hate these ones, which any combination of letters could be a name. Mimi Kalina Lala. Winning beats losing. It does indeed. Ulfla. We march onwards. We do indeed. 3 to the 4th. 5 points clear. Yep, we are. The Johnny Man got job done. We did indeed. And finally, from my boy Gianluca. Didn't see it. Thanks, buddy. He was busy at some darts tournament in Frimley Green. And finally, from me, long throw anxiety, because that's how I felt all through the second half. Oh, and Ian, if you're listening, which I hope you are, as a regular on the pod, I've checked the socials and the WhatsApp, and I have not seen any one of them from you. And I've just realised I've forgotten about the Grove, of course, and
That
I
is.
can't be bothered looking for them, but they were all roughly the same. They're all roughly. I forgot to copy them down, but there was lots of Ben fucking White and got job done and 5 points clear. So there we go. But yeah, my favourite I will revert to is thank you, Jim Bob. Chelsea are shit. and talking of which, so game week 14 of the Premier League was a bit nuts, you know, but as I said at the beginning, it just goes to show that being consistent is not easy. City almost gave up 4-goal cushion to draw with Fulham. Unfortunately, didn't, but there was a chance at the end that could have ended up being 5-5.
Yep.
And they also gave up a 2-goal lead against Leeds at the weekend. Again, they won, but is that sustainable? A bit like Liverpool at the beginning of the season. If you're that defensively porous, and giving games away from comfy positions, hopefully they'll start to slip up again. Villa did well to come back from 2. Go on, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, it's not sustainable. If you are conceding 1 or 2 goals, if you're conceding 4 goals and then just before that 2 goals, come on, man. Like, you're a big team. That is that is not sustainable.
Yeah, grow up.
Yeah.
Be serious. Well, let's hope not. Let's hope they don't grow up and they're shit. Villa did well to come back from 2-0, but it was a 4-3 game. So they have good form continues, but we'll get to that later. Tottenham again scoring amazing goals and still not winning, so you can always laugh at that. Yeah, the joke always seems to be on Tottenham. And then look, we can all laugh at Chelsea. They are so back, and yet they are so not. And I guess being a bunch of violent thugs is not the best approach. And and you wouldn't know this. Now, this was interesting. I didn't realize this, and thanks to Ian and other facts that I found out, that not a lot of people would realize this, that, and especially given the amount of shite that's been spouted by fans of that clown car of a club online the last few days, they are actually 4 points, 2 places, and 6 goal difference worse off this year than last year. So they can all get back in their box about Chelsea are back. We're going to do X with this, that, and the other. And you're worse than last year. And look how that panned out for you. So So yeah, and then finally, thank God, Liverpool equalised yesterday late on, because it's always good to see struggling clubs do you a favour by taking points off your title rivals like Sunderland. So thank you, Liverpool, for that equaliser. So look, we are top of the table, 5 points on 33. Next up is Man City on 28. We've improved our goal difference. We're on plus 20 to 16. And third is Villa on 27, on plus 6, and the rest not going to worry about. And we're 9 points better off this year. Now Chelsea, that's how you do it. Than last year. And actually, since the international break, we've extended our lead. We were 4 points ahead of Man City when we came back. We're now 5. We were 6 ahead of Chelsea. We're now 9, and we were 8 ahead of Liverpool, and we're now 11. So, considering when we came back, we had Tottenham, we had Brentford, we had Chelsea, and we've increased our lead. Is pretty good going. So yeah, how are you feeling about our current state, current position, and how consistent we are and how inconsistent the others are?
We're in a very good place. We don't have two of our key defenders who haven't we haven't been in the situation in like 4 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
Um, we are grinding out wins, even though the XG is aligned to the score line,
Mm.
and it's just great that we can also rotate the way we can. Um, it's unfortunate that in December this is what's happening, but I am happy. I'm happy with where we are. My Monte Carlo simulations that look at 100,000 different ways that the title could end up are seeming very positive. And again, I'll share this in maybe 4 or 5 game weeks.
I
But
look forward to that.
I am, yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy with where
It,
we're at. Yeah,
it,
I
it,
actually
it
literally, yeah. Go on. Sorry, go on.
No, no, no. I'm just thinking it's nuts that I think also a lot of people, not us, but outside of the Arsenal bubble, are taking it for granted and are not really seeing how we're doing it. And I don't mean in terms of quality of play, but just like no Havertz, no Odegaard for most of the season. Big Gabby's out. We're dropping. We had no forward line, and now we've got no defensive line. Okay, that's an exaggeration, but we've not even had the best of Arsenal out there yet. Imagine if we could have a whole squad available, what damage that would do to Look, I know everyone has injuries and everyone suffers and all the rest of it. So I guess that evens itself out, but you still got to call it out. You lose the two, as you alluded to, you lose the best two centre backs in the world. It doesn't matter how good the replacements are; they are not the two best centre backs in the world.
Yeah, yeah,
You lose your primary striker, and you have to bring someone in who's hardly played. And look how Liverpool has struggled with that with what's his face, and and we're not Man City reliant on one person. We're not Chelsea where we just had the easiest fixture list possible, and still have lost 4 games. So so it's I think we are. I think a lot of people are obviously saying we're favourites, but I think it's underrated favourites. If you see what I mean, it's more a case of yes, we're doing well, but other teams aren't. So sort of winning it by default, and it's far from that.
yeah. Can I quickly just
Yeah.
correct you? And no one
Oh.
knows the stat, but City actually this season play
Mm,
better without Rodri than they do with Rodri. So with Rodri, they have about 2.0.2 xG.
mm,
Without Rodri,
mm.
2.02 xG. With Rodri, it's less than that.
Wow. Okay.
So just a fun fact, right? They're missing
Yeah.
their best
Interesting.
player, but I hope he comes back
But
because the data
yeah,
says
yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe they're just bypassing the midfield and getting it straight up to Haaland, and yeah,
yeah,
maybe that's the fact. To be honest, I'd rather have Rodri in and Haaland out, but let's see. So anyway,
yeah.
that's we'll worry about that as we move on through the season. So Villa Park away, 12:30. Gotta love a 12:30 Saturday afternoon kickoff. Tongue in cheek. Yeah, against Villa away. What are you looking forward to, not looking forward to, as far as this game's concerned?
So a cop out for the looking forward to. I'm looking forward to just winning because I don't think we'll. I think it'll be a draw. Um, Not looking forward to the fact that at home they've had a really, really good record. Um, I mean, since they started scoring again, they've had a really good record. So yeah, I just want to win in that game. That's all I
So,
want.
so you're looking forward to a win, even though you're going to predict a draw. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I just want to get over Unai. But actually, more important, I just want to get a win because it's the first game of the weekend. And then if you get that win, you can then sit back and
Mm.
enjoy the rest of the weekend. You can watch all the football with no jeopardy. Whatever happens, happens because you've got your 3 points. You're not hoping that others falter because you faltered. And it just sets you up for the whole weekend and puts you in a good mood for the weekend. So I'm looking forward to being in a good mood all weekend. Conversely, if it turns to shit, you're the first game, you lose it or you don't win, and then it spoils the whole weekend. You've got to go through that whole weekend with that bugging you until the next game. It's hard to enjoy anything afterwards, especially football. And you're just like, oh, I don't know who else is playing who, but you're just then hoping for other teams to falter to just make up for you. So yeah, I hate that feeling when it's the first game on the Saturday or you're the Friday if you've lost, and it's like, oh great, yeah. So yeah, I just don't want to do that. And look, it's always a tough game. Unai always wants to be getting one over on us. So in terms of how we're going to approach it, how we're going to line up, I mean, yeah. We played last night, Wednesday night. There's going to be light training, if not no training, recovery today. We train on Friday, travel up Friday evening, hotel, play, you know, Saturday morning. So that's a very short turnaround, and given the state of our team, the likes of Ben White and Ode are going to be really suffering because they played the full matches, full 90s. Is Rice fine? Is he not? With no news on Mascara. I think we hope Saliba and Trossard will be available. Again, what does days mean? And obviously, without Big G and Havertz, we have Bruges and Wolves next week. So I think we can rotate players for those matches. So we can maybe take some risk. And can we call back Kivior? I don't know. Anyway, so what are you thinking? How do you think we're gonna turn up? How do you think this lineup's gonna be, considering where we've just come from and what's happening next week?
I think I'm pretty aligned to what you expect on the weekend. If Saliba's back, he should start.
Hmm.
And then obviously replace him with Mosquera since he left the field just before halftime. Then in the midfield, um, yeah, Zimmermani, Rice, and Eze. I think going back to Matt's comments and the fact that Odegaard's been out for a long time, yeah, it might be a difficult game, but he's also our captain and he'll show up when he needs to show up. But I think Eze will win the nod over there on that point there. Saka, Merino, and Trossard. If Trossard's back, if he's not back, I would prefer Madueke to start
Yeah.
over Martinelli. And then, as you said, let Martinelli be the super sub, and
Mm.
come in when they have tired legs.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Sum it
Yeah,
up.
yeah, Raya, Timber, Saliba, Hincapie, Calafiori, Zubimendi, Rice, Eza, Saka, Merino, Trossard. Yeah, you got your impact players with Gyökeres and Martinelli. And you're right. If there's no Saliba, then it's going to be White, Timber. And if there's no Rice, then you drop Merino back in and you put Gyökeres up front. And if there's no Trossard, then Eze on the left and Odegaard in midfield, or you put Madueke on the left and Eze stays in the middle. So it's hard. I'm guessing that Saliba and Trossard will be fine, and Rice is the big question mark. But my guess is he's going to be fine, and then he's going to have a week off in Dubai. So yeah, fingers crossed, and we'll find out 11:15 on Saturday morning. So on to Villa. So they're now third in the league, and they had a really dodgy start where they lost 2 and drew 3 of their first 5 games. But since then, I think they are the informed team. I guess alongside with us, they've won 8 and only lost 1. So So yeah, of their next 9, they beat City, but they also lost to Liverpool. It was a very Unai. What's the one thing you don't do when you go to Liverpool? He decided to do it, and no one else was doing it. So it's sort of like, instead of just going long and pressing their backs, he decided to play the ball around in front of their midfield, and they got done. So and then the rest of the games you'd expect them to win or at least be competitive. So along with us again, possibly the team in the best form. However, they are seriously outperforming their underlying metrics. So, before the Brighton game, their expected points was 13.5, and they were on 24 points. Now they're on 27, but even then, if their expected points went up to 16, that's still a 10 point, or a 9.5 or a 10.5 differential. Now, their expected versus actual goal difference is nuts. They've got their expected goal difference should be 4.6 less, but instead they're plus 4.6. So they've got a 10 goal swing on their goal difference, which is one of the largest gaps in the Premier League. So it suggests that they're riding hot in terms of finishing and goalkeeping and defending. Their XG for the season is 13.9, but goals for is 20. Their XG against for the season is 18.5, but their goals against is 14. So they're definitely. So this is such an Emery thing. They look good, but if you scratch beneath the surface, so it could all come off very, very, very easily. And let's hope the wheels will come off on Saturday morning. The one proviso is, or one thing that's going in their favour that maybe skews this a bit, is that they seem to be really good at long range goals at the moment. In 13 games, they've scored 9 from outside the box, which is the best of everyone since 2003-04. But then again, they're doing things like needing long range efforts to beat a very poor Wolves team at home. And again, you cannot be relying on long range goals. You know, who's calling out, oh, Unai Emery is just ruining the game with his long range goals. But so it's a very Unai thing to be flattering to deceive, and it's just how long do you keep it up? I mean, Arsenal experienced that one season where everyone could see that we were shit, but the number, but this on the table we were doing all right. But again, so let's see. They got, as you said, they got a good home form. They've won 5, drew 1, lost 1. Goals for 11, goals against 5. Yeah, it's not going to be easy, but they're also going to be without your friend of mine, Emilio Martinez. He's apparently got back injury, so what's his name? Bizot is going to be in goal. Tyrone Mings is still out, and Ross Barkley, well, yeah, he's a knock, doubtful, but who cares? They sort of spread the goals around. Their top goal scorer is Doniel Marlon, which I was surprised, and then Brendia, and then Morgan Rogers. Their top assist is a left back or right back, Lucas Digne. Morgan Rogers is doing well. I think he's got 6 goals and assists, so 3 of each. But so is Mikel Merino. So Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. How you feeling about this? The game, the head to head against Villa against Unai.
I'm hoping this house of cards will fall when we meet them. As you said, they look good, and it's so funny you bring up our experience with him. 3, 4, 4 no, one.
Oh no, look, no, we've been no, but Arteta's had this team for like 100 years, so it'll be
Yeah.
101 years ago. So
Um,
about 8 years ago.
so it's not surprising, but the fact that they have Martinez out, and I hope that he does stay out. As you said, it's been elite goalkeeping and elite finishing. The fact that they have Martinez out, I'm hopeful we could cause some problems. They play a very high defensive line, and
Okay.
they often catch teams off sides. We should take advantage of that with whoever starts on our flanks. And I'm pretty sure, Zubimendi or Rice will try to find those passes too. But if Martinez starts, I am worried for a very frustrating game. I don't think we'll lose, but I think it'll be challenging, simply because it is a house of cards, and it's building and it's growing and it's great, simply because it just might not be our chance to let that house of cards fall. But yeah, I expect what we expect from Merino, like high defensive. Don't play in that midfield. He'll push you back. Let's take advantage of that high line.
And what's your score? What are you predicting score-wise?
1-1, but I also want to give
1-1.
a second score. So add another column to your Excel. I'm
It's not
definitely
happening.
1-1.
1-1. Go for it. Stay with your
All
convictions.
right.
1-1. Yeah, I can see that. I've gone for 2-1 to us.
Okay.
And look, it's against early kickoff on the Saturday. They are never the best. The atmosphere is a bit meh. We're going to have fatigue from midweek, still in the legs for both teams. Always takes a while to get going. I think we're going to need to be patient. Need to have something go away. We'll feel out the game, see what they've got, and then take it from there. And I think subs will be key in this game because I think Wednesday will play into it potentially for both teams. They had a helter-skelter game against Brighton. We've just had nuts schedule, playing some really difficult fixtures. And look, it's Villa Park. And we won there 2-0 last year with a couple of sort of not late goals, but a couple of goals in the second half. And actually, in the last 6, Arsenal won 3, Villa won 3. Your prediction of a draw, in fact, in the last 12 games that we've played since September 2019, there's actually only been one draw, and that was last season at the Emirates when Villa came back from 2-0 down. During that period where we were just meh. And focusing on Champions League, and in the last 12, Arsenal won 6, Villa 5, and one draw. So a bold prediction, I guess. Law of averages suggests that the draw will coming soon, but yeah, I'm going to predict 2-1. 2-1. And actually, now that you've mentioned about the high line, and I do recall that, and then maybe it's a game for Gyökeres.
Oh, yeah.
It could be a game for him to do that, because for Merino he's obviously not going to be one to break the lines. And then if it is high line, then maybe Martinelli does start, or we put Madueke on the left rather than Eze, he's not as pacey as those two. I'd suggest. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how we line up for that one. Okay, cool. So very good, very good. Got to the end of that. 66 minutes in. Okay, so Kuziva, thank you very much for joining me this evening. I appreciated all your thoughts and comments and putting me straight on Ben White.
It's always a pleasure. Let's hope I'm wrong about the draw and we smash them. Let's do it.
It'll it'll be fun. I just hate it when my weekends are ruined like that. So yes, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Indeed. Look, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. You can follow us on Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok, Insta, all that jazz at the Grove AFC. Give us a like, give us a follow. Come and join the chat. Next show will be post Villa, pre Bruges. Saturday, Sunday, depending on people's availability. And I said, if you enjoy what you hear from us at the Grove Podcast, then give us a nice rating and comment on the podcast apps. We appreciate it, and it doesn't go unnoticed. And thank you very much for all those that have done it so far. So there we go. On to Villa Park on Saturday to meet with our friends Unai and Emilio. And let's see how it goes. And thank you for listening. And until the next time, come on, you Gunners.